Hello everyone, my name is Michael. You are welcome once again to Sabi Book. Today's topic is on Amplitude Envelope. Amplitude Envelope are controllers, volume controller for synthesizers. So they control basically the volume of sound that are generated by the oscillator in a synthesizer. Now, there are 4 parameters to recognize an envelope, and that is attack time, decay time, sustain level, and release time. So these are the parameters for adjusting the volume from an oscillator in a synthesizer. And there are the various kind of envelopes or patches, synth patches. The first one we are going to talk about is the switch synth patch, and this is how to set the parameter. And basically, this gives a sound instantly, and the moment I release my hands from the keyboard, it goes off immediately. For instance, you listen to this. Now, the very moment I release my hand, the sound stops right immediately, and that is basically used for organs and other kind of instruments that portray similar characteristics. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is called the percussive sound or patch. Percussive patch is typical with drums, where you have a first hit and then the sound fades naturally or decays naturally. The same, almost similar parameters, but we have attack down still on the same level as before. Decay is set at 50%, and sustain is brought very low and release as high as 100%. That will create that kind of sound that is typical with drums or cymbals, as you can hear. So if I hold my hand down, you get the same sound. It doesn't matter how long I spend holding down the key. So this is basically a percussive patch or a synth patch. The next synth patch we are going to discuss is called damped percussive. Damped percussive is in the case of percussive, our finger is placed there, and no matter how long we spend on the keyboard, it dampens or sustains, or rather it decays gradually. In this case, we're going to bring our release very, very low as 20 or between 10 to 20. And the idea here is as soon as we release our hand, it stops right immediately. And that is what we call damping. So it's like you play a cymbal, and then as it fades gradually, you just place your hand on it and it dampens gradually, or it dampens, or it stops right immediately. This let's listen to this sound and see what it sounds like. And then I release, it stops again, and then it stops. So if my hands were still placed on it, it will fade out gradually, but as soon as I release my hands, it dampens and stops right immediately. The next synth patch is called sustain, typical with bow and blowed instruments, and by this I mean like trumpets or violin. So the idea here is to create a sustaining sound. As long as we keep the sound sustained by applying energy to it of some form, then it remains sustained. Let's hear what this sounds like. And then my hands are on the keyboard and it remains, and the moment I release, it stops. So that's the idea of this is called the sustain. Finally, we're going to talk about the quick synth patch. The quick synth patch. This is the setting for the quick synth patch. Release is raised very high at 100, and decay at 30, about between 20 and 30. But sustain is placed at 0, and attack time is at 10. So we're going to hear what this sounds like. So I'll hold down the key, and then we hear the sound. Now I hold down that key and it gives me a very short sound, but when I press it very, very quickly, I get a long sound. This is called the quick synth patch. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you've learned 1 or 2 things from this lesson, and see you again next time. Keep making music. Enjoy.